Welcome back to Late to the Party. It's the hottest game/movie/TV review show on the face of the earth, where I talk about stuff that's already been out for a while, but I'm just now getting around to experiencing, making me pretty late to the party. I thought I was a gamer. I've slayed massive beasts in God of War, dueled Jedis in Fallen Order, and even reached Elder God in Mortal Kombat, but nothing could have prepared me for the great magnitude that Elden Ring had in store. Now, from a very young age, I knew of the tales of FromSoftware games, with Dark Souls being notoriously one of the most difficult games around. Granted, I was more of a Lego Batman 2 kind of guy when I was a kid, and from all my time playing games from my young ages to my teenage years, I never dared step foot into the realms of a FromSoftware game. I knew I would just get absolutely obliterated if I tried to touch any of those games, but a game so big came along that I could no longer look away. Now, although this game's already been out for about 2 years, the recent release of its DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, kind of brought back a bit of a resurgence for the game, and in so, I thought I would tickle my toes in there, like Miyazaki would love me to say, and give it a shot. So, in such resurgence, I picked up a copy and hopped in, and I must admit, I was quite scared to begin my first ever journey into a Souls game, but when you first stepped foot into Limgrave in Elden Ring, it is such a spectacle. There's really nothing quite like it, and no video that I could put in for B-roll could possibly do it justice. It truly is just something you as a player need to experience yourself. Now, I went into this game completely blind and totally wasted my first 3-4 hours of this game just meandering about, not following the path I was supposed to take because I didn't really know how to find the path I was supposed to take. I also just don't want to read anything. I have the brain capacity of a goldfish, so every time words popped up, I'm just smashing A so I can get through it, so I can get to the action, you know? I wasn't reading any of the important information they were giving me, which in retrospect, I probably should have. Luckily, I have 2 resident gamer brothers who have completed this game already, so I could turn to them and they helped me find the right path, and I was on my way to fight my first boss, Margit the Fell Omen. Now, this is where you as a player are going to be tested. Do you have what it takes to die over and over and over again and continuously get up and persevere throughout this treachery of a video game? And this fight was definitely my rude awakening. I died so many times, but I knew I would have to lock in and beat this boss if I had any hope of making any sort of progress in this beast of a game. I persevered and I was able to conquer Margit in 1 hour and 23 minutes, but little did I know the bosses weren't going to be the only hard thing, because every single freaking mob you run into is so strong and you're so weak at the start of the game. And not only that, but also just getting around, they really don't hold your hand at all. They just throw you in this ginormous map and they say, go, good luck, have fun. I'd eventually make my way through Stormville Castle. I'd find Godric the Grafted, which staggered me for quite a while, but I did eventually take him down, and that's where I really felt the rush. I felt the high of killing a boss that from the start felt unkillable when you began the fight. And as soon as I felt that rush, I was hooked. I understood the appeal of these games. You die over and over and over and over again, but when you finally kill that boss that's been killing you over and over again, it is such a gratifying feeling. Even though in that moment I was hooked, I was still yet to be tested. And boy, did I let it break me. And a few controllers. And my desk. This game would sometimes get the best of me. I can't lie. I still have the evidence. Hold on. This controller did not survive the first 30 hours of Elden Ring. So yeah, as you can tell, my little self could not handle such things, dying over and over and over again. But, oh no. After that, I knew I could no longer let my rage get the best of me if I had any hope of getting through this game without breaking my hand or any more desks. And I promise you, I did not tweak or rage at all from any of the bosses that were to come. I didn't. Okay, that was a lie. Beyond this game's main struggle of defeating these larger-than-life bosses, it is one of the richest worlds ever crafted in a video game ever. Dare I say, the best world ever crafted in a video game. I mean, it is such a spectacle what them over at FromSoft and Miyazaki were able to craft. It's honestly a marvel to look at any new location, and every time you enter a new area, it's so mesmerizing. Miyazaki has set the bar so high for video games going forward. I feel like any game I touch after this is just gonna pale in comparison. And I mean, this game has been out for 2 years, and Miyazaki has come out and said that players are still yet to discover certain things within the main game. That just goes to show you how massive this world they built is, and just how much care they put into it and how well crafted it is. But traversing through this game, I slowly began to get stronger, and and in turn so did the bosses, but I had gotten bitten by the bug. I knew I was not going to stop playing this game. I loved that feeling of being able to defeat a boss which at once had felt impossible to beat when, you know, you first enter through that gold mist. And no matter how many times the big red letters "you died" got plastered across my screen, I kept getting up and I persevered. Because damn it, I was gonna become Elden Lord. And become Elden Lord I did in just under 55 hours, which might sound like a lot, but unfortunately the journey had just began with Elden Ring. And if you haven't picked up what I'm putting down, I'm talking about that brand new DLC. So I guess at this point we should transition from late to the party to right on time to the party, because this DLC just came out. It's massive. It's filled with a whole brand new map, bunches of new weapons to discover, and 10 brand new remembrance bosses that are all cranked up to 11. And I mean, this DLC was the thing that pushed me to get this game, and I finally made it to this point. So it was quite exciting for me as a player. So, you know, I ventured in, I found the first boss, honestly light work, took out that dancing lion in like just under an hour, 2 hours, and then I made it to Renella, my first roadblock. I was there for days in that arena, dying over and over and over again. I mean, I remember I had one night where I stayed up like 5 hours in a row fighting this one boss, and I didn't even beat her that night. Like, I imagine fighting someone for 5 hours straight and then not even winning. So the next day when you get on, you were right where you left off. Oh, I love this game. It's like, it's so weird because when you're playing the game, you honestly hate it and you want to die. But when you're not playing the game and you're looking back at it, you just have nothing but great things to say about it and you want to recommend it to everyone you see. That's the Elden Ring effect for you right there. But I mean, if the main game wasn't hard enough for you and put you in check, this DLC certainly will, mark my words. And I gotta be honest, main game took me about 55 hours to beat. I was not expecting this DLC to take me over 100. But then again, I did make it harder for myself. I restricted myself by not allowing myself to use any summons, which are like little helpers that you can call in the fight and you get some assistance within the boss fights and whatnot, which I had utilized those in the main game, and I eventually kind of felt like, you know what, this doesn't really feel too fair. Even though, I mean, it's there in the game for me to utilize, I rather would take on these bosses one-on-one, knowing it's all me taking them down. So I decided I was going to do that for the extra hard DLC. I kept taking down these DLC bosses one by one. You know, some of them took me quite a long time. Sun and Socks took me like 7 days. Definitely didn't lose my mind on that fight. But eventually I hit the point. 9 out of 10 of the remembrance bosses down, leaving one left. The Consort of Radahn, okay? Before I even got this game, I had seen so many people in this fight, and it looked so daunting to me. And I remember when I got this game, I remember thinking, am I even gonna make it there? Like, do I even have what it takes to make it to that fight? And there I stood in front of the Golden Mist, waiting for just absolute fun. So much fun. We play video games for pleasure, right? This is a recreational activity. I would remain at Radahn for the next 19 hours. Over the course of like 2 weeks. I played this for fun. That fight didn't make me tweak at all. At all, I swear. Okay, I definitely don't have hours of clips of me freaking out on my computer. And I'm definitely not going to play any here either. If you've played Elden Ring or thinking about playing Elden Ring and you think any of these bosses are too hard or unfair, they're not, but Radahn is too hard and unfair. Literally. Miyazaki went out of his way to make this boss extra hard from anything else in any of the FromSoft games. He has inflated hitboxes. That's fair, right? Real fair. You have the inflated hitboxes on top of in the second phase. It's just absolute screen vomit the whole time. Just golden lasers and rays everywhere the entire time. So not only are you juggling fighting Radahn and trying to dodge everything and all these golden lasers and trying to make sure you can heal on time, you barely even have a second to fight him back, so you're just slowly doing pickings of damage over the course of this. Can you tell I had a great time doing it? I had even had runs where I had his health so low you couldn't even see the red in his health bar. Guys? As much as that hurt in the moment, it proved to myself that I could do it. I could beat this fight. And beat that fight I did that same night. I was able to take down Radahn, and it was a feeling unlike any other. I remember as soon as I beat him, I just stared at that remembrance screen when it pops up. I sat there for like over an hour just staring at it. I couldn't believe I had finally beaten him. I'm so sad I didn't get it on video, but I've got hours and hours of me dying on video. But despite how difficult this game is, it really pushes a player, and that's something only the best of games can do. I honestly can't recommend this game enough, and I'm sure my review didn't really want to make you play it because of how much I suffered playing this game and how brutally difficult it was, but it truly is one of the most incredible worlds I've ever seen built in a game. My little small brain wasn't really able to latch on to the story, and I'm not gonna lie, there were times where I was kind of just mashing A. I'm ready to get to the next fight. People might hate me for that, but if you're gonna hop in Elden Ring, make sure you got a couple of controllers on standby. And after this game, I needed a refresher, something calm, something easy to cleanse my palate, so I hopped into Sekiro. I'm sure that was a good idea, right?